Let us begin with a question. What happens to purpose when we no longer believe in God? For thousands of years, human beings found meaning through religion, through God, through the idea of something higher, something eternal, something sacred. God was not just a figure in the sky. God was the foundation of truth, of morality, of value, of order, of hope. But in the modern world, something has changed. Science has advanced. Traditions have been questioned. Beliefs have been challenged. Doubt has become normal. And for many people, God is no longer real, not in the old way, not as a source of absolute truth, not as the center of life. And this change is not small. It is massive. It shakes the very ground we stand on. This is what Friedrich Nietzsche meant when he said God is dead. He did not mean that a divine being literally died. He meant that belief in God, the belief that gave structure to Western life for centuries, was dying. And with that death came a crisis of meaning, a crisis of value, a crisis of purpose. Because if God is gone, what is left? Who tells us what is good? Who gives life meaning? What should we live for? What should we hope for? These questions are not theoretical, they are deeply personal. They reach into the heart of modern life. Nietzsche was one of the first philosophers to truly understand the weight of this shift. He saw that we were entering a new age, a dangerous age, a time when the old answers would no longer work, and new answers had not yet been found. He saw that without God we would be lost unless we found a new way to live, a way that did not rely on something outside of us, a way that came from within. But before we can find that new way, we must understand the full depth of the problem. Nietzsche believed that most people still lived as if God existed. Even if they claimed to be secular, even if they said they did not believe, they still held on to values that came from religion. Ideas like universal truth, objective morality, eternal purpose. But if God is truly gone, then those things are no longer guaranteed. There is no longer a cosmic order, no longer a divine plan, no longer a fixed meaning to life. This is terrifying. It feels like standing on a cliff, looking into the void. Nothing is certain. Nothing is solid. This, Nietzsche said, is nihilism. Nihilism is not just despair. It is the feeling that life has no meaning, that nothing matters, that everything is empty. Nietzsche believed this was the great danger of the modern age, that people would fall into nihilism, they would lose faith in everything, and they would become passive, number spiritually dead. Some would turn to distraction, to pleasure, to comfort, to noise. Others would cling to old beliefs, not because they were true, but because they were familiar. But Nietzsche believed that neither path would save us. We could not go back to the old world, and we could not hide from the truth. We had to go through it. We had to face the emptiness. We had to stand in the void and not look away. Because only then could we begin something new. Only then could we become something more. Nietzsche believed that the death of God was not the end. It was a beginning. A painful beginning, but a necessary one. Because in that loss, in that collapse of old values, there was an opportunity. The opportunity to create, to build, to grow, to become. But what does that look like? How do we move from the death of God to the birth of purpose? Nietzsche said we must become creators, not followers, not imitators, not slaves to tradition. Creators. This is not easy. It means taking full responsibility for your life. It means asking deep, difficult questions. Who am I? What do I value? What do I want to live for? And not taking anyone else's answer, not blindly accepting what culture or society or even your own past has told you, but finding out for yourself. That is the beginning of strength. That is the beginning of purpose, not given to you, but made by you. This is the task Nietzsche gives us: to live without illusions, to live without lies, to live without guarantees, and still find meaning, still find direction, still find joy. Not because it is handed to us from above, but because we rise up and create it. Now, this might sound overwhelming. How can one person create meaning? How can one person carry such a burden? Nietzsche does not say it is easy. He does not say it is quick. But he says it is possible. And more than that, he says it is necessary. Because if we do not create our own meaning, we will fall into despair. We will become weak. We will become bitter. We will turn against life itself. Nietzsche wants us to say yes to life, even without God, even without certainty, even without a promise of reward. To affirm life not because it is perfect, but because it is real, because it is full of potential, because it is ours. This is what Nietzsche means when he speaks of amor fati, the love of fate, to embrace your life exactly as it is, with its pain, with its joy, with its mystery, to stop wishing it were different, to stop waiting for something else, and to say, this is mine, this is my path, and I will walk it fully, with eyes open, with heart open, with courage. This is the beginning of purpose in a godless world, not in fantasy, but in reality, not in fear, but in freedom. In the next part, we will explore what it means to create your own values. We will look deeper into Nietzsche's idea of the individual. We will talk about how to become who you are, and how this journey leads not to despair, but to power, to clarity, to meaning. Because Nietzsche did not give up on life. He did not retreat. He moved forward into the unknown, into the fire, and he calls us to do the same. Not to survive, but to become, to live fully, freely, with strength. Let this be the beginning, not of answers, but of questions, not of comfort, but of transformation. The world may be godless, but it is not purposeless. It is waiting for you. We ended the last part with a powerful idea. The world may be godless, but it is not purposeless. It is waiting for you. Waiting for what? Waiting for you to create, to shape, to become. This is where Nietzsche's philosophy takes its most radical turn. When God is no longer the giver of meaning, that responsibility falls to us. We must become the creators of value, not by copying others, not by returning to old beliefs, but by discovering something new within ourselves, something deep, something real. Let us now explore what Nietzsche meant by this. In traditional morality, values are given, they are handed down, they are declared sacred, they are fixed. You are told what is good. You are told what is evil. You are told how to live. There is no room for question, there is no space for freedom. Nietzsche calls this slave morality. It is a morality born out of fear, out of weakness. It is the morality of the many, the safe, the obedient, the small. It tells you to be humble, to be quiet, to be meek, to turn the other cheek, to expect reward in another life. But Nietzsche asks, what if there is no other life? What if this life is all there is? What if this moment is the only moment you have? Should you still obey? Should you still shrink? Should you still live in chains? Or should you begin to create a new way? A way that affirms life, not denies it. A way that strengthens the soul, not weakens it. Nietzsche calls this master morality, not in the sense of dominating others, but in the sense of mastering oneself. It is the morality of the strong, the creators, the ones who say yes to life. They do not ask, "Is this allowed?" They ask, "Is this true to me?" They do not obey rules blindly. They listen to the voice within. This is what it means to create your own values. It is not chaos. It is not selfishness. It is not doing whatever you want. It is the highest form of responsibility because it comes from awareness, from reflection, from honesty. You must ask yourself, what do I truly believe? What do I truly value? What matters to me not because others say so, but because I have felt it, seen it, tested it. This is not a quick process. It is a deep one. It is a kind of inner excavation. You must dig through the layers of influence, family, religion, school, culture, fear, and find what is actually yours. This is not easy, because we are taught to follow. We are trained to obey, but Nietzsche says, you must unlearn. You must unlearn the old voices and listen to the quiet truth of your own being. This is the path to becoming who you are. Not who others want you to be, not who you think you should be, but who you actually are, at your core, at your source. This is not found in books, it is found in experience, in struggle, in solitude, in courage. Becoming who you are does not mean finding a fixed identity. It means becoming more real, more honest, more alive. It means dropping masks. It means breaking habits. It means walking away from roles that no longer fit. It is painful. It is slow, but it is the only path to true freedom. Nietzsche does not give you answers. He gives you a mirror. He asks you to look at your life, to look at your choices beyond the past. It is the will to become more than you are now, to rise, to create, to shape your world. This is the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy, not a philosophy of despair, but a philosophy of becoming. He does not tell you what to do. He tells you that you can choose, that you can shape, that you can become, even in a godless world, especially in a godless world, because now everything is open. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is decided. That can feel terrifying, or it can feel liberating. It depends on your strength. It depends on your will. Do you want to be told what life means? Or do you want to create meaning from your own life? This is the question Nietzsche asks. And it is the question you must ask yourself. No one else can answer it for you. You must answer it with your choices, with your actions, with your life. This is how you begin to find purpose, by becoming the artist of your own existence, by turning your life into a work of art, not to impress others, but to live fully, deeply, truly. Purpose is not a destination. It is a direction. It is the way you walk through the world. It is the way you shape your days. It is the way you show up in every moment, even when it is hard, even when it is unclear, even when you feel alone. That is when the work is most real. That is when purpose begins to glow. Quietly, steadily, from within. In the final part, we will explore Nietzsche's vision of the Overman. We will talk about what it means to live beyond good and evil, to affirm life, to say yes, to become truly free, to live with depth, with clarity, with power, even in a godless world. Because Nietzsche did not believe we were doomed. He believed we were called to rise, to create, to become. Let us answer that call. Let us walk that path together. We have come a long way. We began with the death of God, the collapse of old beliefs, the collapse of inherited meaning. Then we moved into the heart of Nietzsche's challenge: to create your own values, to become who you are. Now we arrive at the final step, the highest point of Nietzsche's vision, the overman, the human being who rises above the ruins, who builds something new, who becomes a light in the darkness. What is the overman? And how do we become that? Let us begin slowly, carefully, because this idea has been misunderstood more than almost any other. Nietzsche introduces the overman in his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. He does not describe the overman in a technical way. He speaks in symbols, in images, in stories, but the message is clear. The overman is not just a better person, not just someone who is strong or smart or successful. The overman is a new kind of being, a new kind of human. One who has gone beyond the old ways of thinking, beyond the old ideas of good and evil, beyond guilt, beyond fear. The overman is not above humanity in power. He is above in spirit. He has looked into the void and chosen to live. He has faced the chaos of existence and decided to create. He has no need for external validation, no need for heaven, no need for eternal truths. He is enough, right here, right now, in this life. The overman is the answer to nihilism, not by denying it, but by moving through it, by transforming it, by turning the absence of meaning into a space for creation. Nietzsche believed this was humanity's next step, the next great transformation. But it would not come easily. It would not come for the crowd. It would come through struggle, through pain, through deep inner work, through the courage to be alone. You see, Nietzsche did not believe everyone would become the overman. Most people, he thought, would remain in the herd. They would follow. They would obey. They would seek comfort over truth. They would trade freedom for security, but a few, just a few, would rise, would become more, would say yes to life fully, without conditions, without illusions. What does that look like? Let us explore. To become the overman, you must live beyond good and evil. This does not mean doing harm. It does not mean being immoral. It means letting go of shallow ideas of morality, letting go of what society tells you is good or bad, and looking deeper, asking, what is life affirming? What brings growth? What brings strength? What brings vitality, and what destroys it? What weakens? What poisons? What makes the soul sick? The overman does not obey rules. He creates values, not for others, but for himself. Not as commandments, but as expressions of life. He acts from an inner source, from clarity, from depth. He does not act out of guilt or shame or fear. He acts from love of life, from the joy of becoming. This is what Nietzsche means when he says the overman is a yes-sayer. He says yes to life, to all of it, the pain, the loss, the beauty, the chaos. He does not divide life into sacred and profane. He does not run from darkness. He embraces it. He integrates it. He becomes whole. To become the overman, you must say yes to your life, exactly as it is, exactly as it has been. This is the idea of eternal recurrence. Imagine this. Imagine that every moment of your life, every action, every thought, every joy, every sorrow would repeat again and again, forever. Would you live the same life? Would you rejoice? Or would you despair? Nietzsche uses this thought experiment as a test of how fully you affirm your life. If the thought of eternal recurrence fills you with horror, something must change. But if you can say, yes, yes, I would live it again. Yes, I would choose this. Then you are close to the overman. Then you are living with purpose. Because you are not escaping life. You are embracing it, not waiting for another world, but living in this one fully. This is the highest form of strength, the highest form of courage, to stand in the fire of existence and say yes. This is not naive joy, this is not blind optimism, it is deeper than that. It is the joy that comes after suffering, the joy that comes after truth, the joy that says even this, even the pain, even the confusion, even the failure, it is mine, and I accept it, and I will use it. I will make something from it. This is what the Overman does. He turns wounds into wisdom. He turns chaos into form. He turns life into art, not once, but again and again, every day. This is what it means to find purpose in a godless world. Not by waiting for answers, but by living the question, by becoming the answer. Your life becomes the message. Your life becomes the meaning. And not just for you, but for others, because when one person lives with purpose, truly, it gives strength to others, it gives light, it gives permission, it reminds others of what is possible, that we are not just here to survive, we are here to become, to evolve, to rise. This is Nietzsche's call, not to return to the past, but to step into the future, to become what you are, to become more than you thought you could be. And that path begins now. It begins with honesty, with looking at your life, with asking, where am I hiding? Where am I shrinking? Where am I still waiting for permission? And then, stepping forward, not with fear, but with will, with faith, not in God, but in life, in yourself, in your power to create. That is the gift of a godless world. The gift and the burden. Everything is up to you. No one is coming to save you, but no one is stopping you either. You are free. And that freedom is sacred. It is heavy. It is terrifying. But it is yours. Use it well. Live fully. Love deeply. Create without fear. Say yes to your life and become who you are. That is Nietzsche's vision. That is Nietzsche's challenge. And that is the beginning of a new kind of purpose. Not inherited, not borrowed, but real, alive, burning, yours.